Eyes on Longmont, offering a diversity of topics about our community that will inform and entertain you. We invite you to sit back and enjoy this edition of Eyes on Longmont.
Homer Rail. I'm an artist in Longmont, and I'd like for you to come in and see some of my work. Hello, I'm Homer Rail, and I'm an artist and photographer, and I'd like to welcome you to see some of my artwork as well as photography and a little of my history. I grew up in a little town of Marietta in Southern California. It's farm country, at least it was at that time. Southern California did have farm country at one time. I, at that time, saw advertisements for these outfits called, well, they were draw me ads. They were ads for you to draw a cartoon or something of that sort. And you send it in, and they would evaluate your ability as an artist. And if you were really good, you might win a scholarship or some sort of prize. But generally, it was just advertisement to get you to buy a correspondence art course. I drew my little cartoon and sent it in to the Columbia School of Art in San Francisco. And would you believe it, in a couple of weeks there was a knock on the door, and a salesman was there to try to sell us this correspondence course. They convinced my dad to sign a note for $137.50 for a correspondence course. This is the note that my dad signed.
How old were you at the time?
I was about 13 years old. I like to draw, and so I got started with this art course, but apparently I had a lot of other interests as well, and so I wasn't doing as well as I should have been. And my dad got this letter that was urging him to jack me up a little bit, because I wasn't getting my lessons in as soon as I should have. So the letter was, well...
What was your dad's reaction?
He wasn't too excited. He paid his last $7.50, and I had about 9 months to finish the course. And I guess I did actually get it finished, but I was just graduating from elementary school and going into high school. So we moved into Fallbrook, which is just south of Marietta. And so I signed up for drafting courses in high school, and I also had some art courses. But I was really more into the music courses. I got playing the trombone, and the band director made me the student band director. And I think I had an inflated opinion of my ability as a musician. So when I graduated from high school, went to San Diego State, I signed up as a music major. And the music classes are only a one-unit class. And in order to fill out a card for the first quarter, I had three regular classes like history. I think I had a German class and psychology, but the rest of them were all these one-unit classes, a total of 12 classes for one quarter. And that was a pretty big load. I worked in the grain elevator with my dad. The Murrieta grain elevator was a place where the farmers brought their grain and could get it cleaned and stored. And I worked with my dad there. This is a photograph that was in the newspaper. My dad and I working at the grain elevator.
And how old were you then?
I was about 13, probably. Anyway, my sister did the definitive history of Murrieta, and she asked me if I would do some illustrations for her book. And this is one of the illustrations from the book. The upper left part of the illustration is a hank of twine hanging on the wall, and behind it is a jug, which was the community water jug. There wasn't any running water at the elevator, so everybody shared the community water jug. Mill made its own brand of animal feeds, and we had a 1-ton mixer, and we'd pull 100 pounds of feed off of the mill and put it on the scale, and you would make sure it had 100 pounds in it, tie it up with one ear, throw a couple of half hitches over one ear, stitch it up real fast, put a couple of half hitches over the other ear, throw it onto a hand truck, and the sack needle had a sharp spot in the eye, which would cut the twine. You give it a jerk, and it would cut the twine. And there was a spring in the eye where you would clip your next piece of twine in, and you're ready to sew up the next bag of feed. Down in the lower right-hand corner here, you see a scale, which was used for grading the grain that came into the mill. If you fill the cup even with the top, it would weigh the grain so many pounds per bushel, and that would tell you what the quality of the grain was. And that would determine which bin the grain would go into. And then when the farmer took the grain out of the bin, he would make sure that he got the same grain that he put in. So that was one of the illustrations that went into that book. A couple hundred yards down the street from where the elevator was the Murrieta train station. And this is a painting that I did of the train station. Trains brought people from Hollywood and Los Angeles to the Murrieta Hot Springs, which was the big attraction in Murrieta. People would come for soak in the hot mineral waters at the hot springs. and maybe a massage and a soak in the mud baths there. The proprietor of the hot springs, Fred Gunther, would come in with his bus. It was an open-air bus. He'd pick up people at the train station, take them out to the hot springs.
When did you do this illustration?
The illustration was actually done later, but the train ran through Marietta until the canyon just south of us flooded and washed out the train tracks, and they had discontinued train service to to Marietta.
And they never.
They never reconnected it. So the train station was kind of a historical thing.
What medium did you use for the?
That was a watercolor. And then when I was around the same age, around 12, I was working at Winters Drive-In. Harry Winters was a realtor, and he built this little drive-in, kind of a diner. And so I was frying hamburgers and cheeseburgers and things of that sort, and making milkshakes. And the fire truck belonged to the California Division of Forestry, and they had their headquarters in Paris, not Paris, France, but Paris, California. And they came down through Marietta to Temecula on a daily basis, and they would stop in to get their daily coffee at Winters Drive-In. And my sister, who was a couple of years older than I, still a young teenager, was always excited to see the young firemen come through and stop for their daily coffee.
So this illustration was done.
This was done later also, but this was the drive-in.
Okay. Were you working from memory to do these illustrations, or did you have photos?
I had photographs for this, you know. So this was before I moved on to Fallbrook and went on to San Diego State. When I went to San Diego State, as I said, I had to have a place to stay, so I got a job at Rogers Mortuary. Got a write-up in the Union newspaper. I had one of the unusual college part-time jobs working in a mortuary. But my job was, along with another fella, we lived in this apartment upstairs, and we answered calls at night if anyone came in for a visit. The front door had a buzzer on it, and when you'd swing the door, it would buzz, and we'd run downstairs and greet whoever came in. And that was our primary job. So if we wanted, we could sit in the office and do our homework. So it was an ideal job for a college student. But there was a junior high school nearby, and junior high school kids learned that they could swing that door and get ring the buzzer, and we would run downstairs, and there'd be nobody there. And so they would ring the doorbell and run around the corner, and so this went on frequently. One night it was going on and on. My boss got kind of fussed up about it, so he says, Homer, you go down the front stairs, I'll go down the back stairs, and we'll catch them coming around the corner. So we did that. We caught about 5 of them, and he brought them in, put them in the office. And Bill was kind of a big man in that neighborhood, and the council had given him a gold badge, sheriff's badge. So he whips out his badge, and he shows these teenagers. He says, Homer, what do you think? So we take them downtown, call their parents, what do you think? And he lectured them a little bit, finally let them loose, but it was kind of a game that we played. Bill was not your usual undertaker. He had a good sense of humor. While I was at the mortuary, I was kind of snowed with all of the music classes and the other classes I had, and my grades were suffering, so I finally ended up, I dropped out of school after the first semester, and I got a job with Convair Aircraft Corporation. And I was living with some other college students, and one of them was this fellow, Tom Waddell, whom I did a portrait. And another one, his name was Baez, did a kind of a cartoon portrait. But my job at Convair involved working on a plane called a Pogo. I got to work with the test pilot. The test pilot needed somebody to help him carry some of his gear out to the flight line, so I got the job. And it was kind of neat for a 19-year-old kid. Problem with the Pogo was it landed on its tail, and as you can see, it had landing gear that were on the end of these delta wings. And he had to kind of look over his shoulder when he was landing, and it was difficult to land. So they really never got off the ground with this project. But for me, it kind of got me interested in flying, so I decided to join the Air Force. And I did some of the other projects I did while I was at Convair were some artwork for brochures that they used to promote their projects. And this is one of the designs that I did. Another one that I did.
And this is pen and ink?
Yeah. When I joined the Air Force, they sent me to Parks Air Force Base in California for basic training. And I was there for basic training, then became an instructor. And I, as an instructor, was in the Air Base Defense School, where they trained the air policemen. And the school eventually moved to San Antonio, Texas. And I did that for first year and a half. Finally got kind of tired of that, felt like I wanted to do something that was a little more constructive, so I asked if I could become a medic. And they approved my request, and they transferred me to the Naval Training Center in Great Lakes. And so I went from San Antonio, where it was 100 degrees most of the time, up to Great Lakes Naval Training Center in Chicago. And this is a picture that I painted of the base chapel at Great Lakes Naval Training Center. And from Great Lakes Naval Training Center, I got assigned to Keflavik Naval Air Station in Iceland. And this was my quarters in Iceland. This was Christmas in Iceland. And I painted this after I had been there, but this was a watercolor. When I came back from Iceland, I went to work for the Veterans Administration in San Diego. And while I was there, I was working with veterans who had come back from Vietnam and had neurological problems. And I was doing a lot of artwork with them. And we did a lot of silkscreen. And this is a silkscreen Christmas card that I did for myself. We did silkscreen covers for their newsletter and some woodworking and other things. While I was there, I visited my sister and did this watercolor. I picked up a set of watercolors that my niece had, and this was one of the first watercolors that I ever did. I had applied for a job as a ranger with the state of California, and my job came through while I was at San Diego State. So I was appointed to this job at Sutter's Fork in Sacramento. While I was there, I was playing around with some watercolor, and I did this. This is St. Mary's Lake and Glacier National Park. Also did this Fort Worth Longhorn, and my wife and I had taken a trip up to Ottawa and visited her aunt up there, and found this little pig trying to climb the rail fence. And so I painted this little pig. This is a watercolor that I did of some pelicans in the surf, and I'd learned how to do salt in watercolor, where you use a wet watercolor and drop salt in it, and it gives it this stippled effect, and works well in doing a water scene. And
how long does it take to do a painting like the pelicans in the surf?
That doesn't really take very long. It probably took me an hour to do that, maybe an hour and a half. This is a painting that I did with an acrylic paint, and it was done on an old whip saw that I had. And this is a Yosemite scene. I like this one. It's a bear coming out of the lupins, and it's a scene from the overlook in Yosemite.
Did you have to do anything to prepare the surface of the saw?
Probably had to sand the saw off a little bit and get the rust off of it. This next one is another watercolor that was done in Yosemite, and this is after, I probably did this after I was in retirement a little later, and I was getting into watercolor a little bit deeper. Joined the Placerville Art Association and learned a few more techniques in watercolor. And this is another scene along the coast of Monterey that is very popular. And my son worked for Rockwell, Lockheed, and this is a scene from a publication that caught my eye, and I got permission from the photographer. And one of the unique things about it is if you look real close to the reflections in the children's eyes, you'll see the American flag reflected back. They were doing the Pledge of Allegiance.
It's almost an Easter egg. Do you hide Easter eggs in your illustrations, your paintings?
No. This is a rose that has water droplets on it, and I was doing a little experiment in painting water droplets. So you'll find water droplets on the leaves of the rose. And I like to experiment with other medium. This was digital media, and I use a Wacom tablet. I do have a Wacom tablet here, and it connects to a computer, either wirelessly. It will connect wirelessly as well if you want to use it that way. I don't see oh, here it is. The stylus, when you draw on the surface of the Wacom tablet, will appear on your computer screen, and wherever you put the stylus on the tablet, it will appear on the screen on your computer. So you use a computer program, and the computer program has infinite number of colors, and you can select different types of drawing devices in the program. You can use chalk, you can use a brush or charcoal. It's amazing what you can come up with. But you can draw all sorts of things with the Wacom tablet digitally. And you're not actually using a photograph, you're drawing from scratch with that.
How do you feel about the difference between using the digital medium, like the tablet, and using the actual medium, holding a brush in your hand to do a watercolor?
Well, it's definitely different. It challenges you, but it also gives you a lot of different kinds of colors, a lot of different kinds of, well, like you can do pen and ink or paintbrush or whatever in the digital medium. It's just different. And as we go along here, I'll show you some different pictures that I drew with that medium. This next one is, that's the completed product that I was working on in that last photograph. Here's a photograph of the Wacom tablet, and then this is a picture of some puffins that I saw when I was in Iceland, and I did a series of those, and then this is the completed product of the puffins drawn digitally. And then I did a California poppy, and this was drawn digitally. When I was over in Switzerland, I saw this scene, so I drew this. This is done digitally also. Going back to a more traditional type of pen and ink art, this is a scene that I saw in San Francisco at Fisherman's Wharf, fisherman's craft. Every year on San Francisco Bay, they have a Master and Mariners race where the old yachts from around the turn of the century are brought out, and they compete with each other. This is a gaff rig yacht. The gaff rig is one that has a spar across the top of the sail. And I was riding on one of the historical ships in the yacht race, and I took a lot of photographs, but from the photographs I did some of these paintings. This is a Marconi rig. The Marconi rig is the one that has the triangular shaped sails, and you can see the Golden Gate Bridge in the background. I advocate that all artists should practice doing quick sketches. And these are some examples of my quick sketches. I was sitting on a veranda at a ski resort while my son was skiing and drawing some of the people that I saw. These are some of those people. And this is one I call self-portrait. This is a watercolor of an Iceland poppy. And this is when I was getting more into the watercolor techniques and learning a little bit more about how to do them. And after having taken some watercolor workshops, and so my watercolor techniques had matured a little bit. Another watercolor of a boysenberry blossom, and boysenberry blossoms are about 1 inch in diameter. And this particular painting is like 16 by 20. It's pretty good size. If it was a photograph, you would probably call this a macro. This is a picture that I saw when my brother-in-law lived in Chile. He was working down there as an engineer. We visited, and this is a waterfall down in Chile.
Are you for picking subjects for your paintings?
Yes.
Is there any specific thing that you look for? Is it just something that grabs your eye? Is it something that indicates, hey, I'd like to try this technique on this particular subject? What drives you to pick a waterfall or a particular flower?
That's a good question. I like to paint different things. I like flowers. I like water. Water is a challenge. It's buildings of various types. It's everything's a challenge, really. This is a building that was just down the street from where we lived in Placerville. The man who owned this building had a tangerine orchard, and he sold the tangerines out of the front of the building. It was a self-serve. You put your money through a slot in the front of the building and take a bag of tangerines. But because his name was Graham, and Graham automobiles were popular. I mean, he collected Graham automobiles. I painted one in front of the building and put a gas pump in there, made it look like a gas station. So that was Graham's pear shed.
So did Graham ever see this painting?
I think I showed it to him. I think I did. We had a camellia bush in our backyard. I painted a lot of camellias. This is one of my camellias. This is an iris that I painted. We raised a lot of iris. There was a nearby valley called Hope Valley that always had a lot of color in the fall. So this was Hope Valley. When we were up in Montreal, I ran across this busker with his accordion and his little dog, and I got a charge out of his little dog wearing the cap.
This is watercolor?
This is also watercolor, yes. And one night I was watching TV and I came across Emmylou Harris. And I did this painting of Emmylou Harris and Willie Nelson.
Just decided that you needed to paint Emmylou and Willie, huh?
Yeah, I like country western. And then I painted this cheetah cub and I entered it into the Art Association's art show. And one of my friends who also painted cats painted a big tiger, 4x5. So he entered his tiger, and his tiger ended up being hung right next to my cheetah cub. And his tiger got the blue ribbon. His tiger ate my cheetah cub up. Just couldn't compete. And I also did this, I call it out of Africa, big bull elephant. And I had a long string of boxer dogs. This was Hannah. She liked to go out and collect her own apples.
Did you paint many of your boxers?
I painted a couple of them, yeah. There'll be another one coming along here shortly. In Hawaii, there are a lot of hibiscus. I painted this hibiscus from Hawaii. Also in Hawaii are a lot of roosters. And I did this rooster on a particular kind of, it's called aquaboard. It's made particularly for painting watercolor. And it's great because it's easy to wash out color if you want. And you see the fluffy feathers on his back. There's where I washed out some of the color, and it makes it look kind of fluffy. And that's something that aquaboard is good at. You can wash the color back out of the watercolor if you want to. And that was done on aquaboard.
So that's using your choosing the best effects of the medium that you're working with.
Right. And actually, I think this was done in a workshop where the lady that was teaching the workshop actually gave me samples of the aquaboard. She is a very well-known artist.
You mentioned there's a lot of roosters on Hawaii. Which particular island were you on?
I believe this came from Kauai. Kauai particularly has a lot of loose roosters running around. This is one of my first scratchboard paintings, I guess you'd call it. Scratchboard is another interesting medium. I have some here. This is, it's like a masonite board. And it's coated with a white substance, and then on top of the white substance is India ink. And if you scratch it with a sharp substance, sharp object, the white will show through, and then you can paint whatever and get the color. So you have different kinds of tools that you can use, various things that will scratch the black. This happens to be like a fiberglass brush, and it'll give kind of a brushy look. And scratchboard is particularly good for anything that's got fur on it. I think this next picture, yes, this is a picture of a koala. And this was done with scratchboard. And this is a Scottish coo, as they say in Scotland. It was done with scratchboard.
Are these from photographs that you took?
I always, yeah, I do it whenever I'm traveling. I take photographs and then usually do my paintings from the photographs. Particularly with animals, it's hard to do a painting because the animals are moving around. This is a kookaburra from Australia. This is a guy I met down in Australia. He was about 16 feet long. It's also done in scratchboard. He's not very furry, but scratchboard technique worked fairly well on this particular one. This is a friend of mine, Neil, who was a member of a woodcrafters group that I was in. And when Neil passed away, I did this painting of him. This is also in scratchboard, and gave the painting to his wife. Now this is a zebra, also done in scratchboard, and there's a lot of scratching in this one because I had to go from black to white. And this is the final product. This one I call Iditarod Pup, is actually a puppy of one of the Iditarod Alaskan dog race contenders. And this is watercolor. I had some really good friends who drew names at Christmas time for gifts. And I drew Joe's name. And Jo was a young girl who was about 9 years old. And so I did this painting of the cat in the hat. And I made a transfer for a t-shirt, transferred it, and gave both the t-shirt and the painting to Jo. And so I hope they don't throw me in jail for painting the cat in the hat. This is a picture of my daughter. This is my youngest daughter. She graduated from the University of California at Davis in nutrition. She likes to cook. She now works for the NCAA. If anybody gets in trouble in the NCAA and gets suspended, they have to come to her to ask for permission to play again. So she's got a pretty good job. This is my older daughter, Holly, and she also graduated from University of California at Davis, and she's now a Canadian citizen and works for the University of British Columbia. And this is my son, Keith, and he is an engineer in building helicopters. He liked to build things. And this is his son, Hudson, following in his father's footsteps. The battleship Missouri was a battleship on which the World War II armistice was signed with Japan. And I like this view. Kind of makes me feel like new start with a ship coming out of the fog. This is a abstract. You can make out of whatever you like. I call it dream.
And this is not from a photograph you took?
It's not from a photograph. This is just random blobs of paint. This is also an abstract. Started out that way, but it kind of looked like a fish. So I call it out of school. If you look closely, it looks like there's a little school of fish down below there. And I call this one the Rock Festival. It's a watercolor. And you asked a while ago about boxer dogs. Here's another one. This one's called Kai. She was a good dog. On the shores of San Francisco Bay is a place called China Camp. The China Camp got its name because there was a Chinese fishing camp there where they fished for shrimp. And China Camp was famous for a movie that was made by John Wayne and Lauren Bacall called Blood Alley. And the scene was supposed to be in China. And up on the side of the hill, they actually built the Great Wall of China. as a movie set. It's amazing what the movie industry can do. It can make you think you're someplace that you really aren't. This is Yosemite Falls. I like to go to Yosemite in May. My birthday is in May, so I go up there. Usually it rains and the falls are full, and that's the prettiest time of the year. This is one I call, I call it Yosemite Falls, actually. It had rained a lot, and there were ponds in the valley which reflected Yosemite Falls, so it's like a mirror image. Another Yosemite Falls. This was in Yosemite, but is Bridalveil Falls, and this one is a digital. I like it because you're able to get that waterfall effect.
So Yosemite has given you a lot of inspiration.
It has given me a lot of inspiration, yes. And this is also Yosemite. That's El Capitan, which is a granite cliff. And a lot of people like to try to climb that. You won't find me up there. Again, this is Yosemite Valley, and this is a photograph that I took. Ansel Adams was one of my heroes, and I like to think that this is kind of like an Ansel Adams photograph. Frank Lloyd Wright designed the Marin County Civic Center, and the next three photographs are Frank Lloyd Wright interior at the Civic Center. This again is Marin County Civic Center.
So very definitely evoking the notion of space.
Oh, definitely. Very spacey.
Why did you choose those three photographs?
I took a series. There's a story that goes with this, but I won't relate it today. Marin County Civic Center has a lot of history. During the Black Power movement, there was a court case that took place. I don't know if the name Angela Davis rings a bell.
It does.
And there was a shooting in the courthouse where a judge was killed. And that all took place at the courthouse in Marin County. This was the site. But the courthouse itself was, and the Marin County Civic Center is a famous Frank Lloyd Wright building. And it's very modern, a lot of curves. Everything is very Frank Lloyd Wright. Next photograph here is of an elf that I did. It was sculpting in clay, and I used a clay that you don't have to bake in a kiln. You do it in your own oven. So this is what the guy looked like when I finished. Placerville Art Association had a challenge. They said to paint something in the style of one of the old classics. So I chose the Mona Lisa, and this is my Mona Lisa.
What size is your Mona Lisa versus?
It was probably 2 feet by 3 feet. It's pretty good size.
Quite a bit bigger than the original.
Yeah, I've actually seen the original, and it's about like so. Yeah. I was a little disappointed when I saw it. In Dallas, Texas, there's a man who has a magazine that promotes plein air painting. And he did a Zoom meeting where he had a plein air site, and he had people from all over the world painting the same site. This was the site that I painted from his Zoom meeting, and it was kind of interesting to have all these people from everywhere painting the same view, and to see what all these different people came up with. It was interesting.
What is plein air?
Plein air is where you paint a scene on site in the open, and you paint it from the site as opposed to painting from a photograph.
This seems a little different
It is
to be having an open air painting that's done over a Zoom call.
It was a Zoom call. You were really weren't out in the open. You were on a digital Zoom call. Yeah, so that was quite different. The next painting or drawing is a sketch that I did of the Niwot mammoth in the little children's park in Niwot. They have a mammoth that the children can climb on. And so I did this sketch in my sketchbook recently. And then this will be my last picture. It's a rose that I did in a sketchbook in pencil. And that's probably the most recent thing that I've done. And I want to thank you all for stopping by and seeing my artwork and sharing it with me. It's been my pleasure.
One final wrap-up question, if I may.
What's that?
Where do you see yourself taking your art? Where do you go from here?
Well, I haven't done as much artwork lately. The work that I've been doing with the video club has actually been more my creative outlet more recently. So
you have a wide variety of media.
I have a wide variety of media, yes.
And it keeps you busy.
Well, thank you for coming by. Hope you enjoyed my work. We'll see you later.